the Too Many Hats podcast with your host with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock Dead P. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. Too Many Hats podcast.
Top of the morning to you, my good people. Happy Wednesday. Hump Day Wednesday. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. It's your host with the most, Tony Mays. Lavelle's not going to be on this morning. It's just me again. But it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, man. We're going to have a good time today. I want to start this off by saying that if my words get a little twisted, it's because my dentist, my orthodontist, is making me wear my retainers again. He kind of roasted me for wearing these retainers, for not wearing the retainers. So I got to wear the retainers again. So anyway, if my words get if I get a little tongue twisted, just charge it to the game because it ain't my fault. It's my orthodontist's fault. Well, it's kind of my fault because my teeth wouldn't be in the shape they wouldn't be if I would be. Anyway, I want to give a shout out to this young man right here. I did catch his name, but he is the youngest. I want to say he is the youngest so far. I do know that there are a couple of young ladies, African American young ladies, who have graduated college at a young age too. But he's supposedly the youngest to graduate college with 2 degrees, one in cybersecurity and the other in computer science. So shout out to this young man, for just kind of, keeping his head down, man, and just working through the process and doing it at an early age. And he's still a young man, 13 years old, graduated college with 2 college degrees. And to graduate college, first of all, at an early age is awesome. But to do it with 2 college degrees is even awesomer. I'm gonna make up, if that's not a word, I'm gonna make up a word. And then also to do it in cybersecurity and computer science that's even more greatness. So shout out to this young man, for, like I said, just keeping his head down and just doing the work, man. Shout out to him. Couple more days, y'all. Couple more days, and we are here. I want to give a shout out to Miss Gwen. Miss Gwen came by yesterday and she dropped off a box with hats and gloves in it that her and her daughter Kim purchased, and they put together themselves with some hats and gloves in it. So shout out to Miss Gwen for that, and Kim. Shout out to all of our partners, man. We're looking forward to this Saturday, being out at Morris Park and just having a good time, man, and just helping those who are in need, the unhoused, and those who are, whether it's by force or by choice, they out there, they need the help, and we're going to do our part to try to help them as much as we can. So see you guys Saturday out there from 10:30 to 1. We're going to try to get out there about between 9:30 so we can try to get set up, but we will be out there then. All right. So when you think about, yesterday we was talking about, when people kind of trying to break those boundaries, or trying to issue us ultimatums, unhealthy unhealthy ultimatums, and it kind of breaks our boundaries or go past some of the boundaries that we set up personally in our relationships or friendships or whatever. And so, Monica suggested that we talk about, what our health. Good morning, Zoe. What are healthy boundaries? So we need to acknowledge that you have to establish some healthy boundaries in relationships. So how do you establish healthy boundaries in relationships, friendships, etc.? And so we're going to talk about that this morning, how we can establish those healthy boundaries in relationships and friendships and all the ships this morning. So y'all buckle down and get ready for the ride. All right. And I'm gonna remove the comments off the screen. If there are any significant comments, I will read them as we go along. But how to establish healthy boundaries. This is basically a complete guide to relationships, friendships, family, work. We're going to include some examples in here, some scripts, and some troubleshooting tips. Y'all haven't got that from us before, some troubleshooting tips, but we're going to even throw some troubleshooting tips in there about how to establish some healthy boundaries. So, when you think about um, healthy boundaries, and I think everybody, if you're any kind of relationship with anybody, whether again it's friendship, family members, what have you, work relationships, dating relationships, I think there ought to be some boundaries established, some healthy boundaries established, and you ought to stick to whatever those boundaries are. If a person violates your boundaries or overstep those boundaries, then there should be a conversation had acknowledging that, hey, first of all, you violated these boundaries that I set in place that we've already had a conversation about, and that's just not going to be permitted or tolerated. So you definitely have to make sure that you are addressing when those boundaries have been violated. All right. So this is what we're going to kind of talk about. What you will learn today. Why boundaries matter. 10 clear steps to set boundaries. We're going to have some scripts in there, some I statements, some examples for romantic, friendship, family, and work context, and then how to handle pushback and follow through. And then we'll do some small steps to start and common pitfalls in trying to set up some healthy boundaries. All right. So why do boundaries even matter? Why do boundaries even matter? I'm not really sure uh, why. Not that I'm not sure that I know why boundaries matter because I do. But I was kind of thinking out loud on something. But why do boundaries even matter? For one, you know, there are benefits to having some healthy boundaries. You can protect your emotional energy and your mental health. Me and Monica, like, we really big down on like energy, like just energy, synergy. We're really big on that. If we go somewhere and even if we go out to eat or something and the energy is off with the hostess, waitress, especially if it's at the hostess when you first walk in and the hostess is the first person that greets you and their energy is off, we look at each other like, do we really want to eat? Because it's already starting if the energy is bad with the hostess. Um, and sometimes the waitress or waiter can come to the table and kind of offset maybe that energy that hostess had. So, but we're really big on energies And I'm not at this point. I'm not gonna let anybody. Good morning, Ms. Gwen. I'm not gonna let anybody mess with my mental health. Now, if I do something and it affects my mental health, it's different. But I'm not gonna let anybody, uh, especially intentionally, just mess with my mental health. But boundaries also matter because it reduces resentment and or burnout. You know, it can improve communications and trust because if you're setting healthy boundaries, you're also at some point you've had some communication with the individual. Uh, you've talked through um, what that healthy relationship or that boundary looks like, and them not crossing those boundaries. So you've already had some communication. So it also improves the communication and it improves the trust because you know now I know that you're not violating or overstepping those boundaries. I can trust you more. You know, Phyllis said it matters because sometimes people have no idea how to respect your space or energy, and that's I guess that's why that's so big to me when you think about even going out to eat. It's like um you go out to eat and all of a sudden you're greeted at the door by the hostess with a horrible attitude and energy, just mean, like they mad they at work that day. And so now you start to look at that and be like, damn, do I eat, do I really want to eat here? You know what I'm saying? Is this energy gonna be passed on to the waitress, waiter, the cook, the manager? But you're right, Phyllis. Some people just don't know how to respect your space or your energy. And to be honest with you, they really don't give a darn about it. But it also teaches others how to treat you. There you go, Phyllis. It teaches others having healthy boundaries, and why they matter is it teaches others how to treat you. And then it can strengthen an already healthy relationship. If you have a healthy relationship already, whether again it's a work relationship, family, friendship, whatever, dating, it can help strengthen that relationship. And you definitely, that ain't gonna harm you. That's gonna help you. So you definitely want to be able to strengthen. If it's already a healthy relationship and it's doing well, you want to be able to strengthen it as you go along in the relationship. It's just like I mentioned the other day. Me and Monica's relationship got better over time. You know what I'm saying? So it didn't start off just the greatest, but over the years, as we were together, we learned each other, learned more about ourselves, we grew, all of that stuff. Then the relationship, you know, strengthened and got better over time. Number one, know your needs. Know your needs. If you're into any kind of relationship and you don't really know, or you don't know how to communicate what your needs are, it's going to be hard to establish some boundaries because you don't even know what you need. So know your needs. That's the first thing you need to do. Know your needs. Journal. Note what drains you and when you feel resentful. That's really good because you might not even know when you start to like really feel drained, or at what point you start feeling drained, or when you start feeling resentful. Why in the world am I starting to feel resentful towards this situation, this person? And if you journalize it, write it down. Say, hey, I'm starting to feel that way. I'm starting to feel this way. And then you only start to feel that way every time this person is in your presence and they're doing a certain thing to you. Which brings me to my next one. Identify triggers. It could be certain topics that person is talking about when they come around you, certain behaviors, just around you too long, in your space too long. Phyllis said they don't know how to respect your space or energy. They just in your space too long. So you can identify if you journal what starts to drain you and when you start to feel resentful, and then you identify some triggers, some topics that every time they come around, they want to talk about this. Ugh. Every time they come around, they do this. Every time they come around, they just, man, they don't know when to leave. Just keep talking. So you identify those triggers, and then you'll start to know why you feel how you feel. Then you decide on non-negotiables versus, we talked about these non-negotiables yesterday, versus flexible preference. I like how they put that. Ms. Gwen, we talked about that yesterday. When you had your disagreement with me about my statement on the non-negotiables. So it's you have non-negotiables, but you also have flexible preferences. I like how they put that. Flexible preferences. But make sure you decide on, like, what's non-negotiable in the relationship. Like, this is just non-negotiable. Then here are some flexible I have this preference, but it's flexible. I'm a little flexible on this, but this is non-negotiable. And here's a tip. Write, if X happens, I need Y statements. Right? If X happens, then I need Y statements. So if this happens, I need why it happened statements. And that will kind of help you maybe identify the trigger, and help you to journal what drains you and when to feel resentful. Or when you feel, not when to feel, but when you feel resentful, when you start to feel resentful. Number two, I don't care what topic we discuss on a daily basis, monthly basis. It's gonna always have this piece in it, this communication piece. I just don't care. We've talked about so many different topics, and it always comes down to just being able to communicate properly. You got to be able to communicate. If you cannot communicate verbally, non-verbally, and in a good way, you're gonna have some issues, especially relationship issues. And so let me go ahead and say this for those who just getting on. Maybe I have my retainers in, so this morning you may hear some whistles, you may hear me getting tongue twisted a little bit, but my orthodontist said I need to wear these retainers. So if you hear the whistles, it's just coming off my retainer. But when you communicate clearly, make sure that you be direct and specific. Be direct and specific, and avoid vague hints. Because sometimes we don't want to be just straight to the point, right? And so we want to beat around the bush and throw out all these hints, hoping that the person gets it. And it just, it don't happen that way all the time. Sometimes people can get those little subtle hints and stuff like that, but sometimes they just don't. We talked about Miss Gwen and the other day, and how this young man was basically shooting his shot with Miss Gwen, and Miss Gwen did not get the hints. She didn't get them. In her world, they were just vague. They were non-existent. But be direct and specific. Maybe he should have been more direct and said, "Hey, ma'am, I think you're very pretty. I'm very interested in getting to know you more. Here's my card. If you don't mind, give me a call and we can talk. Maybe go out and have coffee or something." Maybe he could have been a little bit more direct and specific, and I think she would have got it then. She's a very intelligent lady, so she definitely would have got it then. Use short statements, not long defenses. Use short statements, not long defenses. Good morning, Miss Paulette. Example: I need 30 minutes alone after work before talking. I need 30 minutes alone after work before talking. So I come in for work. Monica's bouncing off the wall. Doo-doo-doo-doo. She won't tell me about all her day, how her day went sitting at home doing nothing since she's retired. And I'm trying to get in, just trying to uh just get my mind right, relax a little bit. And so I might just say, hey babe, give me 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes to myself, just kind of so I can wind down and then we can talk about your day. Instead of me walking in and she talking happy, I just walk in the back, slow, slam the door. Now what's wrong with her? I just need some time. You could have just said that. Be direct, be specific. I need 30 minutes alone, babe, just so I can get wind down and then we gonna talk about your day. Yes, ma'am. Miss Gwen said the same where you attend churches with unfriendly greeters at the door. Ooh, man. You be want to turn around, walk back out that door like, man, I am not finna sit up here. And then they want to sit you where they want to sit you, which is cool in most cases. And I go sit where I want to sit. If I'm visiting, I gotta sit where I feel comfortable. They might throw the hand come here, but I might see a space over here where I feel comfortable. Yeah, ain't nothing like an unfriendly door greeter at church. I don't run across that too much, but I have. Number 3, be consistent. Be consistent. Why does it even matter to be consistent? Your actions must match your words. Uh-oh. Your actions must match your words. And we're talking about how to establish healthy boundaries in relationships, friendships, etc. For those who may have just joined. How to establish healthy boundaries in relationships, friendships, etc. But you have to be consistent. Your actions must match your words. If you allow exceptions often, the boundary becomes unclear. And I think when you wishy-washy, that's what we call somebody who wishy-washy. One minute they like this, one minute they like this, they straddling the fence, they like, and they really haven't set any clear expectations with their boundaries. So now the boundaries are really unclear. The one that you said was a non-negotiable boundary, but you've been so wishy-washy with it, now that boundary is unclear. So is that your boundary? Is it not your, and so that can be confusing to somebody who is really trying to understand or trying to establish or help create a healthy boundaries in the relationship. Schedule and routine help consistency. Um, you tell them, hey, look, I don't accept calls after 9 p.m. Like I know my sister. My sister go to bed early. I know not to call her after 9 p.m. because if I call her after 9 p.m., I'm waking her. I'm essentially waking her up. Now she called me after 9 p.m. Maybe she was just up for some reason. What's up, Rodney? But most of the time, I know not to call her after 9 p.m. because she already asleep. So you have to have a schedule and routine help consistency. It helps consistency. If you got a routine or a schedule, it will help out the consistency so that you ain't so wishy-washy. So establish some kind of schedule or routine. And it's okay every blue moon to counter, but not all the time. Number 4, use I statements. Not I like EYE, but like I statements. Start with I to describe your feelings, need. Here's a little template for it. I feel I feel horrible when I first get home from work and you just hit me with talking. I need 30 minutes to calm down, to get myself together before we talk. Y'all see how I just put that in there? I feel when I need. That's a good template. Take that template and use that template. I feel overwhelmed when plans change last minute. I need 24 hours notice to adjust. So they just use that example. I gave you an example. But start with I to describe your feelings and need. It's and be direct. Be direct. We already saw that slide that says be direct. Be direct in what you're telling your friend, your family member, your spouse, your co-worker. Be direct when you're telling them what you need. Number 5, expect resistance. So, sometimes, man, when you're trying to create healthy boundaries or boundaries, period, it can create um, an uncomfortable situation for somebody else, especially when they're not used to boundaries. People haven't held them accountable in the past to boundaries. And so when you're saying in whatever relationship you have with them, oh, you're going to respect my boundaries. These are my boundaries. You're going to respect my boundaries. And good morning, Miss Loretta. And that can make some people uncomfortable. That can make them very uncomfortable. Some people will be uncomfortable, and that's normal. That's okay. It's okay for them to be uncomfortable because they just maybe not used to that particular boundary or not used to having to respect. Like I said, they just been able to do what they want to do with other people, and you're saying no. Check this one out. Notice whether pushback is respectful or manipulative. So if they're uncomfortable uh with the boundary that you set, notice whether there's some pushback in it, and if that pushback is respectful or is it manipulative. So, if you're not one of those people that pay attention to detail in relationships, you may miss this stuff. This is stuff you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss it if you're not a person that pays attention in relationships, any kind of work relationship, whatever. If you don't pay attention to the detail, you will miss it. Give people time to adjust, but remain firm. So you're gonna give them time to adjust to whatever that healthy boundary is, that expectation that you set for that healthy boundary. But give them some time, a little time to adjust, but still remain firm in what your boundary is. And I would even say, make sure you communicate that to them. So I understand this may be new for you. So I'm gonna work with you, give you a little time to adjust, but my boundary is my boundary. you know. Ms. Gwen said, absolutely, Tony, because I didn't have a clue. Yeah. And I think if he had just presented it to you in that way and just said, hey, um, I'm interested in getting to know you more. Here's my card. Take my card. Maybe we could do coffee or something. We can talk about it. Or if you don't feel comfortable with me, we can just talk on the phone and get to know each other, whatever. But he took a different approach, and you was just clueless. So, but expect some resistance, man. It's gonna be some resistance when you're trying to set up those healthy boundaries. So expect that resistance. Follow through. State a consequence calmly and apply it if the boundary is crossed. So sometimes when we set when we're setting these boundaries, we don't often just give a consequence to the boundary. We just say, hey, this boundary is non-negotiable for me. Like, I have a zero tolerance as it relates to this particular boundary. I want us to have a healthy relationship. In order for us to have this healthy relationship, this boundary has to be respected. And you don't necessarily give the consequence. You don't say, hey, if you continue, if you cheat on me, that's one thing I won't accept. I'm out the door. But if you do say that, just state it in a calmly manner and apply it. If the boundary is crossed, if the boundary is actually crossed, then you out of there. So you tell them, say, look, one thing I just cannot tolerate in my relationships. Now, some things I can tolerate that, or you have a preference on that you kind of, I got a little wiggle room in that preference. But there are some things that are non-negotiable, and one of them is cheating. If you cheat on me, I can't stay in a relationship. I would have to leave. And you just say that calmly, and then if that happens, then you leave. And that's just an example. Or here's some examples: limit contact, pause a conversation, or decline invitations. Consequences should be reasonable and proportional. And I just think the consequence should the consequence should meet the or should be at the same level of the infraction. It's kind of what I tell employees at work. I had a person tell me one time, employee was, well, they ain't even give me a verbal. They just went straight to a written. I said, that's because the consequences are meeting the level of your infraction. Your level of infraction did not warrant giving you a verbal. It warranted giving you a written warning instead of a verbal warning. And they were like, oh, I thought you had to follow it in sequence. No, there's no sequence unless it's just a small infraction. And we say, hey, we're just going to give you a verbal now. But you do that small thing several times, and it's going to add up from a verbal to a written, and so forth. So I think the consequence should meet at the same level of the infraction, if that makes sense. But follow through with the consequence. You stated the consequence calmly. You told them that if they cross that boundary, you was gonna do this and do that. You got to follow through with the consequence. Because if you don't follow through with the consequence, guess what's gonna happen? If you give this consequence to this, whatever this infraction or this crossing of the boundary, and you don't follow through on that consequence, they're gonna do it again and again and again until you follow through and you actually mean what you do. That's why I say you can't be wishy-washy, because now that boundary is unclear to me, because you said it was a non-negotiable and I did it, and you still, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Number 7, prioritize self-respect. It's a mindset. You got to prioritize self-respect. You don't need permission to protect your well-being. Let that one sink in. You don't need nobody's permission to protect your well-being. If somebody is affecting your well-being, then you have to address it. You don't need permission. I don't need permission to address you on you attacking my well-being. I don't need permission for that. Boundaries are acts of self-care, not punishment. So in other words, for those who don't like boundaries. I don't like all these boundaries. They're telling me I can't do this, I can't do that. It's not a punishment. When people set boundaries, it's not a punishment. That's them. That's the love they have for themselves. Enough love that they have for themselves to enter to what's the word I want to use? To introduce to you their acts of self-care. That's it. It's not a punishment. I just want to introduce to you that, hey, look, this is how I take care of myself. I got these healthy boundaries. Don't you violate these boundaries. Don't you overstep these boundaries, because this is how I protect myself. This is how this is my self-care, my love for myself. This is how I do that. It's not a punishment for you. And I think that's what some people who don't like boundaries, who don't respect boundaries, this is what they feel. They feel like it's a punishment. And it's not. Remind yourself of long-term benefits when feeling guilty. So in those moments where you love your best friend, y'all been best friends since the first grade, and you have your best friend know you got boundaries. They know you got boundaries. They've often tried to challenge your boundaries sometimes, and you had to put them back in place and then check. Y'all might fall out for a minute, but your best friend know you have boundaries. Don't feel guilty when you have to, you know, make sure that that person is not violating or overstepping your boundary. Don't feel guilty about it. Remind yourself of the long-term benefits, the self-care, the how you feel, how it makes you feel when your boundaries are not, stepped over. So prioritize self-respect. It's a mindset. This is some good information, y'all. I promise you it is. Respect others' boundaries. Even though y'all quiet, I guess y'all listening. Respect others' boundaries. The mutuality. Just like you giving boundaries or setting up boundaries, you got to also respect other people's boundaries. And think about this. Sometimes some people are just they so manipulative to the point, just because you set up boundaries, they're gonna set up a boundary to contradict your boundary, or to go get something that they know that they ain't never enforced before. Know you like, then they're gonna set that particular boundary up. That's manipulative. That's being manipulative. Growing into or focusing on self-care is essential for establishing healthy boundaries. Man, yes. So ask about others' needs and listen. So when you're establishing your boundaries or setting your boundaries or the expectations for your boundaries, ask the other person, are there any boundaries? Are there things that I need to know that, so I won't cross, so you understand, ask about their needs and listen. So you'll know that they have boundaries as well. Negotiate compromises when appropriate. I don't necessarily think that you can negotiate with somebody if they have a healthy boundary of you not cheating. You ain't gonna be able to sit there and say, well, what if I just on Tuesdays I just go out and I see other people on Tuesdays, and then no, you can't negotiate that. Negotiate compromises when appropriate. That's inappropriate. But some people may think it's appropriate. And I think now, if you have established from the get-go that maybe you guys want to be in an open relationship where you see each other, but you can also see other people, then I guess that's what it is. But So I don't know how that could be healthy, or I don't even know how you can set healthy boundaries in a relationship like that. But I guess it works for some people because a lot of people do it. Then remember, two healthy boundaries can coexist. So that person can have some healthy boundaries, and you can have some healthy boundaries, and they can coexist. They can coexist. Y'all don't have to bump heads and figure out, especially if you know the boundaries, you trust that person, and you know what they're doing is just out of self-care for themselves. It's not like they doing a retaliatory boundary, putting up a retaliatory boundary because you got yours up. No, we ain't doing that. Number 9, start small, practice moves. Say no to small requests once this week. So once this week, whether it's your children, whether it's your husband, wife, co-worker, friend, family member, say no to a small request once this week. I've already said no. It wasn't a real small request, but I said no. Turn off notifications for an hour each day. That's something I got to work on. Actually, what I've started doing is with my phone, I've turned off notifications for a lot of apps and stuff that I use a lot. I've turned off the notifications because when those notifications pop up, I'm going straight to, and that could be an all day thing. You just going back and forth. You looking at your phone, looking at your phone, looking at this, So I just started turning off all my notifications for stuff. Choose low risk topics to practice expressing limits. Don't start high. Don't start way up here. Find some low risk topics, some really real low risk topics to start practicing expressing the limits you have on those low risk topics. Now, don't start way high, but you got to start small. Start practicing. Say no to small requests once this week. I want everybody on here to say no to somebody. I know it's gonna be hard for you, Miss Gwen, Miss Loretta. I know it's gonna be hard for you, but say no. Phyllis, it might be hard for you. Say no to a small request just once this week. Turn off your notifications for an hour each day and choose low risk topics to practice expressing limits. Boundaries equals barriers. They're guidelines for safe interaction, not walls. So I said that wrong. Boundaries do not equal barriers, not equals barriers. Boundaries do not equal barriers. They're guidelines for safe interaction and not walls. We don't put boundaries up in our relationships as a barrier, right? We don't put it up as it is not a wall to keep you out, none of that. But it's more of a guideline for us to have a safer interaction with each other. Healthy boundaries create deeper intimacy and trust. So if you're in a personal dating relationship, it's going to create a deeper intimacy, and more trust in the relationship. And boundaries help filter out people who don't respect you. So if you really want to know if a person respects you or not in a relationship, work relationship, friendship, family, if you want to know whether they respect you or not, start setting up some boundaries and you'll see. Start having some boundaries and you'll see who don't respect you. Now, if it's a family member, okay, I ain't gonna stop loving you, but I'm gonna love you from a distance because you don't respect me. You don't respect me. You don't respect my boundaries. You don't respect me. If it's a coworker, oh, okay, that's what it is. Okay, well, we just know this. We just hey, all we need to talk about is work. We don't need to talk about nothing else. And if it's a best friend, you might want to find you another best friend if they don't respect you. I've seen some of the most toxic, unhealthy best friend relationships. Man, they cuss each other out, talk to each other crazy. This I'm like, that's I don't know how y'all. Then we best friends. How do best friends treat each other that way? Where did y'all look up the definition for best friends and came up with we got to be toxic as heck to each other, dog each other out? Where did y'all come up with that? But I've seen it. I've seen some toxic relationships, family relationships, dynamic, work relationship. I just like I don't understand it. So you can use these as is or edit to fit your voice. So you guys can take these. I'm not gonna go through all these. You can take some of these scripts and example phrases and use them. I'm gonna leave them up on the screen if you want to jot them down or whatever. I'll go through a couple. I need some time to think. I'll get back to you by tomorrow. You know, I can help, but only for 30 minutes. After that, I need to return to my work. That's it. Something you can use while you at work. So you can take some of these scripts or example phrases and use them and try to make them applicable in your situation. And I'll put them back up later if y'all need me to. When you're talking about romantic relationships, set expectations about time, communication, frequency, and privacy. Example, I need time with friends once a week without checking in every hour. It, if you literally gotta tell somebody you dating that or that you married to that's kind of weird to me. If mom could tell me, hey babe, I'm going to do a girls' night out okay, have fun. She don't need to check in with me. Oh, I'm out here. It's an hour. I'm out here. We out here doing this. Now, if she do that, that's on her. But it won't be a requirement for me. Discuss boundaries around exes, fiancés, and household chores early. I'm tripping, y'all. Fiance, finances. I'm tripping. I read that too quick. Discuss boundaries around exes. If y'all got any exes, discuss boundaries around talking about your exes, finances, and household chores early. Shot my load on that one. So if you have if you guys have exes that you I don't want to say still communicate with, but they this number might still be in your phone. Not that you communicate with them, but just discuss what those boundaries are. That person might not want to hear every time you say, my ex, he did this or she did that. They talk about those boundaries. She gonna be walking around here, or he gonna be walking around here mad at you. You'll know why. It's because you didn't mention your ex or they compare. Please don't compare the person you with now to your ex in any kind of shape, form, or fashion. That's an instant. I'm mad at you instantly. Friendships clarify availability and emotional limits. Example: I can be your sounding board once a week. For deeper issues, I may need more time. Set limits on favors and availability to avoid resentment. I got some slides for y'all today now. On family, be firm about personal life choices and privacy. Example: I won't discuss my relationship status at family dinners. Use calm repetition for relatives who push back repeatedly. You're going to get this business. Workplace. Define work hours, response time, expectations, and boundaries around tasks. Example, I don't answer emails after 7 p.m. unless it's marked urgent. Escalate to HR or manager when workload boundaries are repeatedly ignored. Hey, I've gotten them. Well, employees have said, I need to meet with you. And I got an open door policy, and they're coming in and be like, my manager keep calling me after hours and trying to get me to work after hours. And then now I got to have a conversation with the manager to find out if they're calling them after hours. And I was like, if you expect them to work after hours, you need to pay them. And that needs to be said to them because they don't want to work after hours without being paid. Ms. Gwen said, question, at what point in dating or relationship should one have the healthy boundaries conversation? Shit, immediately. Well, I'm gonna put it like this. I think where it says start small, I think in the beginning you should have like some lower risk topics or whatever. Just kind of set some boundaries and stuff there. Just but as you realize that the relationship is getting serious, then you have those there you go, David. When you understand that it's getting more serious, and now you got to sit down and say, hey, we've had some small boundaries and things like that, but I think our relationship is going to the next level. So and if you feel that way too, these are some boundaries that I have. These are some of my non-negotiables, and maybe these are some boundaries that, hey, I'm a little flexible on. We could talk about that, and we can kind of work through those. But these are some that I'm non-negotiable on, and then y'all can kind of work through those boundaries. How to handle pushback. Stay calm and restate the boundary clearly. Use an I statement and avoid getting pulled into an argument. Offer a brief reason if helpful, not an apology. Don't apologize. Just offer, a brief reason why, you pushing back on whatever it is, and that boundary is not to be violated. Apply the pre-stated consequence if crossing continues. And then you got to reevaluate the relationship if the boundary continues to be broken or violated. Simple as that. I'm not gonna go through these. These are some small steps and practice exercises. If you guys want to do those, from role playing to reflection. Week 1, say I can't to one small request. Week 2, turn off notifications for 2 hours daily and notice the effects. Role play, practice I statements when with a trusted friend or therapist. Reflection, journal after boundary interactions, note feelings and outcomes. I guess I did read them anyway. Here goes some common pitfalls and how to avoid them. Over explaining or apologizing for every boundary. Keep it simple. Being inconsistent, plan to stick to it. You got to stick to whatever that boundary is, stick to it. Confusing people, pleasing with kindness. Check your motives. Check your motives. You can't be confusing, folks. Setting unrealistic or vague boundaries. Be specific. Set some realistic and specific boundaries if you're gonna set some. And then, when do you need to seek help? If the boundaries are repeatedly violated despite consequences, if interactions leave you feeling unsafe, anxious, or minimized, if you experience manipulative behaviors, gaslighting, coercion, consider therapy, couples counseling, or HR environment for workplace issues. Ms. Gwen said, I've worked on saying no since retirement, though still not often enough. But the biggest challenge for me was dealing with the guilt of me saying no. I'm getting better with the guilt also. Cool, as you should. And here's some quick reference templates. Um, Next step, make it yours. Pick one boundary to practice this week. Write your I statements and rehearse it. I'm giving y'all some homework. Decide on one reasonable consequence if crossed. Um, and there you go. That's how to establish healthy boundaries. Monica asked, "Can we talk about that today?" And we brought it to you today. Thank you, Miss P, Miss Gwen. She said those are some great script examples. I need them. All right. I'll send you the power. If you want the PowerPoint, I can send it to you. Just shoot me an inbox with your email address, and I'll shoot you. That way you can have it. Um, so hopefully, after us going through today, you guys understand how to establish some healthy boundaries and use healthy boundaries as boundaries and not barriers. And people that if you're one of those people that are not used to boundaries and don't like people setting up boundaries, hey, these boundaries are for them, for their self-care, for their self. It's not to punish you. It's not to put you in punishment. It's for their own self-act, self-care. So you gotta respect people's boundaries, and then maybe establish some boundaries yourself, so people can respect your boundaries. Uh, So hopefully you guys got something out of it today. For all of those who attended the Prepare Life Essential Survivor Emergency Seminar, I did send out emails yesterday with the link for the Amazon list. So if you click on that link, it'll take you to the Amazon list, and you can see all those things that we have for the emergency kit in that list. And you can start purchasing those things, or you can start researching other things to purchase. I mean, it's quite a, and I'm studying adding every day, because every day I'm finding something else that I'm buying too. One boundary, that's okay. Well, it's kind of more of a preference than a boundary, but I get it. One boundary for me is women must, be a church goer. They can be a church goer and full of hell. Woo. Anyway, hopefully that helped. Let's clock this T with our girl Queen Watkins.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all know what time it is. Put them phones down, fingers up. It's time to clock that tea with your girl, Queen Watkins. I hope y'all are having an amazing morning. But y'all know what time it is. It's time to clock that tea. Now, y'all, Chat GPT, if you know, you know. Let me just say, I didn't know. Until I began to hear so many people talking about it, so many people using it. So yeah, let's talk about it. So Chat GPT is like an AI app, right? Some people say it's like your best friend. Some people say they can't go without Chat GPT. It's like a homegirl or a homeboy. You can ask this app anything, and allegedly, it's supposed to give you the best answer, the best response to whatever your question is, really. Basically, a perfect app, right? It's supposed to help you with making money. You can set yourself goals, and Chat GPT will direct you through those goals. If you're having emotional problems, the chat thing is there for you. Y'all, some people are so rely on this app so much that the girl says she uses this app every day. She don't go through her day without using Chat GPT. Y'all, you can, if you are wanting to get a divorce, the thing sets up everything for you. Like, it's insane how much the app does. But when I look at it, it's almost like Siri when you have an iPhone. She just as nosy. And you can't now Siri do have little mess ups sometimes because sometimes she don't even understand what you're saying. It's like, what language are you hearing, Siri? Because I showed didn't say that. But it gives off Siri almost, just an upgraded Siri. And it's so many people using it to find jobs, to help your credit, to clear the negatives off your credit. I set up and I watched a few TikToks, y'all, where it showed like step by step of how to use this app in order to clear your credit. Now, some of the stuff I am definitely like, okay, that's interesting. But then again, is this a distraction? Because how in the world are y'all replacing a human with the app? Make it make sense. Y'all already trying to create pregnancy through a robot. Yes. Don't worry, y'all. I'm coming with the tea with it. Y'all already trying to create pregnancy, like letting robots have human babies. So are we starting off with the Chat GPT? Because there's so many people get so excited about this thing, about this app, y'all. And for me to not really, I don't even have it downloaded on my phone. I don't want to sit up and talk to no app all that now. Certain things that, like I said, the credit and how to have 200,000 followers by this time, things of that nature. It gives tips for those. But I feel like it's going, my opinion, that thing is not your boyfriend or your girlfriend. That app is not your home girl or your homeboy. That somebody is listening to you. Somebody in all your business, all your details. Somebody actually said, give Chat GPT all your details so it can really know who you are. Baby, I'd rather sit in somebody's face instead of having an app, an electric app now, because if my phone mess up, the Chat GPT didn't mess up too. So I done lost everything, right? Unless I can download it again. Yeah, it's kind of scary. I'm gonna be honest. It's kind of scary because this app does too much, know too much. What's next? What y'all think about it? All right, y'all, that's all the tea that I have today. Make sure y'all tune in to 2 Minute Hacks, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. sharp. And don't forget to stay tuned for your girl, Queen Watkins Clock That Tea. Y'all, November the 22nd, right around the corner, just a few days away. Y'all come out, enjoy yourself, be a part of something positive. Y'all have a good day. Bye.
Let me unmute my mic now. Phyllis, I send it to you. Miss Loretta, I send it to you. Now, that Chat GPT, I use Chat GPT. All of these PowerPoint presentations and all that stuff y'all seeing, that's Chat GPT. So I ain't finna use it for like, what she talking about, no boyfriend, girlfriend. I don't know. I use it and it's very helpful. To me, Chat GPT is Google on steroids. So, and I think Chat GPT AI is just like anything else. You have to use it responsibly. And so I'm good with Chat GPT because it's been a lifesaver. Chat GPT then wrote me a book, then did all kinds of stuff for me. So hey, I'm good with Chat GPT. But I know how to make it work for me and not, I use it for my benefit and not all that other stuff. So hope you guys had got some good healthy information today about how to establish healthy boundaries in relationships, regardless of what kind of relationship it is. Hope this helped you out today. We're gonna pray and then we're going to dismiss to tomorrow, guys. Most gracious and eternal God, we come thanking you for the day. Thank you for another day's journey, God. We thank you for awakening us this morning and closing us in our right mind, enabling us to see another day. God, we thank you for our viewers and listeners, and we pray now that you will give them and grant them their heart's desire. Lord, help us to understand that we need healthy boundaries in the relationships, regardless of the type of relationship. But we need healthy boundaries, and it's for our self-care and for our self-love, and it's to protect our hearts and to protect our mind. And God is not to be deceitful or to establish barriers in any kind of way. And we want those who we're in relationships with to understand that, God. We pray now for all of those who are duty bound to pray for those who are sick, shut in behind prison walls, those in convalescent homes, those that don't know you in the pardon of their own sins, oh God. We pray now that you would just bless like only you can bless, God. We thank you. We love you. It's in Jesus' name that we pray and ask all of these things. Thank God and amen. We will see you guys tomorrow. Same bad time, same bad place. 2 Men in Hats. Let's talk about it.
The 2 Minute Hats podcast with your hosts with the most, Tony and Lavelle. Every morning from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We also have Queen Watkins with Clock Dead P. Tune in with us and have a great time. Let's talk about it right here. 2 Minute Hats podcast.